My Lords, I think this has been some of your Lordship's House at its finest, and I thank everyone who's contributed to this debate. And it is, I think, extraordinarily striking that from all corners of this House we've seen overwhelming support for Amendment 2. I do feel like I have to address the comments of the Noble Lord Randall of Uxbridge, who signed the amendment and then expressed some concern about it. And there I would like to say that I don't believe there is in any form a conflict or indeed a competition between this amendment and the Noble Earl of Caithness's Amendment 18. This sets out the fact that there has to be a target. Amendment 18 sets out a process and a scheme and an operational activity. So these are not in competition. I would very strongly urge your Lordship's House, and indeed I attempted to sign the Noble Earl's amendment, but as in a number of other amendments, that was already oversubscribed. Now, I don't feel like I would love to go through so many of these contributions. Every contribution has added something to this debate, and I'd love to acknowledge all of them, but I know some of the people who are keen for this bill to progress would be right on my case if I did that, so I won't do that. But I do just want to pick out a couple of contributions because I think they are particularly important. And those are from two members of the Climate Change Committee, the Noble Lord Deben and the Noble Lady Baroness Jones of Cambridge. This is the expert view saying this amendment needs to be in this bill. That's where the view is coming from, the independent view in all senses. And I think the Noble Lady Baroness Brown made a point that no one else in our long discussions about soils has made, the way in which climate change is putting pressures on soils, drought, flood, fires, and all of the damage, extra damage to what we've already been done that has been put. I do also particularly want to note the contribution of the Noble Baroness Lady Young of Old Scone, who's been a particularly fervent supporter of this amendment, and I thank her for that. And I thank her also for counting the number of times soil quality appears in the 25-year plan. I confess I hadn't done that. And it shows that the government kind of sees the issue, but just is really not engaging with it in the bill. So to address a couple of points that the Noble Lord the Minister made, he talked a lot about operationally what DEFRA's doing, what it's setting out. But he didn't really address the point that I made about the 25-year plan saying we will have sustainable management of soils by 2030. How can we do that without having this long-term target to progress towards, without having indeed the Noble Earl's strategy? And I think it was particularly telling, one of the other chief points of the Noble Lord the Minister's argument was that, oh, well, we deal with these other things, we deal with biodiversity and water, and that will fix soils. And that's making soils a second-order issue. It's putting it in profoundly the wrong place. Whereas what this amendment does, my Lords, is put this in the right place on the face of the bill. And as we've discussed in so many other areas, what the department might be doing under one Secretary of State, there's no guarantee it will continue under another Secretary of State. Issues have to be put on the face of the bill. So, my Lords, I well understand the pressures in your Lordship's House against calling votes. I understand the desire to progress this bill, but having listened very carefully to the Noble Lord the Minister and having heard the very strong support from this amendment from all sides of your Lordship's House, I have to ask to test the opinion of the House.
The question is that Amendment 2 be agreed to. As many as of that opinion will... as many as that opinion will say content, and to the contrary, not content.
Not content.
The question will be decided by division. I instruct the clerk to start an electronic division.